Hey guys, Exalt here. Another video looking at some of the problems of Dead by Daylight and hopefully some solutions that I think could help fix them. With that being said, let's jump straight into the video. Number one for me, in no particular order anyway, but number one on the list is map and pallet RNG. You get the same map 2, 3, 4 times over, maybe more, and the tile setup and the pallet locations, the pallet numbers will all be different. This situation was created so that people couldn't learn and abuse maps. But the case is now that so many people are that experienced with the game that they can easily identify what tiles are back to back, where they're leading to, and how to link them all up into a really efficient manner. That can easily exploit killers' weaknesses, or for killers, how to exploit the survivor weaknesses. If there was less randomness to the maps and the pallets, at least there would be a chance to really balance the maps out. Find out what areas are troublesome for killers, what areas are troublesome for survivors, and build the map design and fix them in a certain way that will prevent them from being exploited so easily. It'll also enable more competitive play in tournaments. Right now, the tournament setup, there's actually no way of picking, say, a seed of a map and having that replicated over 2 matches. So one side could play the survivor side, get completely destroyed by the killer because of really bad pallet spawns and RNG in general, and then they can play the killer side in the next game, and they'll find that it's a really survivor-sided map all of a sudden, and they can't compete based purely on RNG and luck. Number 2 really is about perks, the perk pool in general, and a prevalence of poorly thought out perks for each side. Take this for a point, okay? This is not me being biased, but at default, there are 4 survivors and 1 killer, right? That absolute base should suggest that if I was a survivor and I made a mistake, 3 other people could rectify my mistake purely based on numerical advantage. The problem with this game is, this is not me being a killer main or anything like that, I'm not. The problem with this game is that it seems to hand feed one side easy fixes for negatives. So survivors have things like dead hard, where if the survivor gets out of position by their own poor play, they're able to press a button and get to safety. Poor design, poorly thought out, and it creates this feeling of weakness and vulnerability on the side that should probably feeling like they have power. I'm not saying killers should dominate every game. I'm not saying that they should dominate the majority of games. But I'm saying that there should be some sort of equilibrium, some sort of, you know, ability for both sides to do well based on their own individual skill. Right now, with the way perks are designed, especially for the survivor side, with the amount of prevalent second chance perks they have available, which are part of the meta compared to the killer side, where their meta is based around pressuring generators. Oh, how fun that is for everybody. Pressuring generators, gen slow, gen regression, all that boring ass stuff based around inanimate objects. So it's not even, so the killer meta isn't even based around interactions with fellow players, it's based around inanimate objects. That's another issue with the game, I find. Survivor sides have too many things which promote positive outcomes for negative decision making. Out of position by your own fault, dead hard or RP8. Killer's still nearby, maybe not even camping, just haven't given enough time to move away. Don't worry, borrowed time will save you and your friend, because of course the guy who gets saved can quickly jump in front of you who just saved him, taking a hit for free. Meanwhile, you can now body block the person who just got unhooked. There are some really strange perk ideas and very strange mechanics. I think it's very backwards. I feel like the killer side probably deserve more second chance perk, because at the end of the day, when they make a mistake, they have to live and die by it, primarily. You could argue no one escapes death, but no one escapes death is a perk that will give you, so long as the survivor side played properly, will give you 1 extra kill at the end of the game, if you're lucky. Because quite often when Noed rocks, you hit somebody down, bang, the survivors will either quickly look for a totem, or they'll just decide, a bit too dangerous, we'll just leave. But generally speaking, you get 1 extra kill with Noed, which is your go-to for, I'm sure, when you think of second chance perks. And then really, like, for meta or commonly used, and you're like Enduring and Spirit Fury, that promotes unskillful play, you'd say, where you just keep eating pallets, breaking them, and then Spirit Fuel proc. I get that as well. That's a valid point. But how often do you see that anymore? You don't see it very often, especially in like you got the boring combination of Hex Ruin and Hex Undying, which creates extremely boring games. Anyway, that's the perks. Like another big one is I brought this up in a previous video, and it's the value of us as a player base has seemingly decreased over time when profits are constantly increasing for behaviour. Back in the day, and this is me being entitled, this is me just showcasing how our value has decreased. So back in the day, events would happen, you get the chance of getting like some like cool cosmetic for free, usually 2. Chance of getting 2 free cosmetics for free by playing the event, which is fine. You used to have like blood hunts to go with them and stuff like this. It used to be seen to be more blood hunts as well. Over time, the cosmetics freely available has decreased to 1, and then most recently, the Halloween event that just went by, the dev decided that you wasn't able to unlock free cosmetics. Instead, you had to either play, like, is it 500 odd hours, maybe more, of actual game time to be able to unlock the full cosmetics available, or you had to pay money for Auric sales to unlock them in the store. Of course, the devs did go back on that a little bit and offer up the solution of having reduced iridescent shards available to purchase them, which is fine. It's fine. It was a compromise that I feel was half given to you, basically. I feel like the devs held some back. They saw that the player base is up in fury and they gave half. They did like, they got like, that's the full amount they could have gave you. And they went, all right, we'll give you this. They'll be happy. And they went, thank. Half what they was capable of giving you. And then everyone lapped it up going, oh yes, we won. We won. But you didn't win. Because before you gave them record profits year on year, they gave you more than they did this year. And yeah, COVID-19 is a factor, makes it more difficult. That doesn't mean that they have to squeeze everything out of you when profits are still high. They're still going. So yeah, the value of us as players is decreasing year on year in their eyes, even though technically our value, monetary-wise, is increasing. That's a big problem with Dead by Daylight right now. So like, with all being said and done, we've got the negatives out the way. How do we fix the game, in my eyes? Of course, everyone is entitled to their opinion. You might be in love with the game to the extent where any of the negatives that I brought up are negatives to you. And that's fine, because at the end of the day, your opinion's worth as much as mine. Perfectly fine. But if we was to look at my points of view, let's start with the map RNG and the palette RNG. As I said, I think every map should have a base layout, or there should be the option of getting a seed for each map. The first part, it allows you to balance maps based upon how abusable certain locations are. A lot easier than it is right now. Right now it's all number based, randomness still involved, you know, like they'll tinker around with the code a little bit, say, yeah, we've reduced the pallets by X amount at base across the board for this map. But then it still allows abusable locations to appear, and it still has, even though they said they reduced the amount of tiles back to back that can link up, you still find maps with that going on. So it hasn't really worked out as the plan. It's probably better than it was, but I don't think it's worked out fully as it should. So to me, having a base map layout for every single map and just work on balancing that for skillful gameplay between killers would be really, really good. The second option there, what I said, was having a seed available, which just, it keeps this current system in where it's random all the way through in general normal play, but it gives the option if in custom matches, let's say if there's a tournament on, people are able to grab a seed. So one team versus another team go into a map. That seed is shown and available when they jump in. That seed's copied by the creator of the tournament. Yep, to then paste it again for the next game. That allows the other team to jump straight in to the follow-up game, and everything's the same. Every tile is exactly the same. Every pallet spawn in the exact same location. It allows both sides to fully showcase their skill on that given map without any randomness involved in it. I think that'd be great. And the third option, which won't happen, but it'd be like Dreamland. Say you were the killer and you go, oh, I'll play the game as Pig. So you have 2 games back to back, let's say on so like Blood Lodge, let's say, or just simple. It's a nice open map, nice and easy to think about. You played the game with Pig already, right? Let's say then you want to play the game with Huntress. What about if there was different map layouts for different killers? So if you're playing as a Huntress, the map layout would be a little bit more favourable to your hatchet throws than it would be normally. It kind of prevents taller structures from appearing. Or even if you say you stay on a map like the temple, which has got like those high walls that really does destroy Huntress when someone's running around them. Let's say you play Huntress or like Plague, those walls become slightly lower, enough that there's a chance at catching them over there. Small little variables for different killers. Again, it's hard, really. It's a lot of work as well to put in to enable that to happen, but I think it'd be really nice to see, and it would enable wider variety of killers to be used because maps aren't quite as potent against them. Huntress doesn't get played as often as she should because so many maps go against her, and it happens to so many other killers as well. I would love to see something like that. Next up, we had perks, didn't we? So the perks, I was saying, and I thought there was a little bit strange of how they were constructed for the game. I find it very strange how the numerically advantaged team get the really strong second chance perks. Killer side get very weak second chance perks in general, and their meta is based around interacting with inanimate objects generally. I find that very strange. I would just love to see in general like perks kind of reduced in power across the board a little bit. I wish perks were a small buff to the power of the individual. Perks like Dead Hard, again, I'm picking out Dead Hard because he's very much my the other perk that annoys me the most right now. I'd love to see perks that don't showcase your skill to kind of be reduced to something else. I know they're changing Dead Hard soon, but I don't believe it's going to be changed dramatically. I think there'll be too much of an uproar for that. But I would just love to see the gameplay be based more around individual skill, reaction time, overall game awareness, instead of the heavily perk-based gameplay it is right now. I also would love to see like a perk pool where, say, Huntress's perk, say like Huntress Lullaby. I'd love to see like Huntress's Lullaby be more potent on Huntress than other killers. I'd love to see like Clown with Pop Goes a Weasel. I'd love to see Pop Goes a Weasel be like stronger on Clown, especially because he has such poor mobility by general. I'd love to see that perk be more potent on Clown, maybe like a longer duration or a slightly increased regression value maybe on him. And of course, like let's say like new Balanced Landing. Let's see like Balanced Landing have a more potent ability, maybe like it was before where you had the sun reduction. Maybe not fully, but slightly. Make it more powerful for the character. Give the characters more personality because their perks are directly about them. Self-care would be more powerful than Claudette. Finding knowledge would be more powerful than Claudette. The list goes on and on. I'm sure you understand what I'm getting at here. I'd just love to see that, and the base value of the perks for other characters just reduced then a little bit. Maybe the current base of the perks right now for the specific character maybe brought up ever slightly. I would love to see something like that as well. I think that'd be really good for the game. Reduce second chance perks, make the game based more around skill than the perks themselves would be absolutely fantastic. And then really, like, what about the devaluing of the player base over time? Hopefully they kind of got the idea of the last Halloween event they just had, where people were in uproar. I hope that was a little bit of a red flag for them. I hope they realised the danger they are in if they do that kind of thing again. There's so much monetization in this game that, especially in your most important holiday event of the year, in a horror game, even if it is a arcade horror game, Halloween is so important for you to be able to get your name out there, market it yourself as a horror game, that providing such monetization in it is really bad. You should be giving people an incentive to get the game, give people an incentive to play during that time, give people incentives to get that feel and that idea of the game forward, push it forward. Get content creators playing more and more and more. Push it. Keep it being put in the foresight of people on Twitch, YouTube, etc., rather than making people feel like you don't really care or the care is being reduced. Overall, though, I mean, like, I still continue to like Dead by Daylight at its base, but I think there are issues. I hope I've kind of shown the negative side of my point of view, and I hope I've given a more positive outlook on how I would probably change the game. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Be safe out there. See you in the next one.